بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I want to thank you all for coming, and I do apologize for being a little late. We got caught in traffic, wasn't expecting that, and hopefully people trickle in a little bit more. Hope they didn't go to C101. So I'm going to give the introduction for the speaker. Our advisor, Ms. Hudenberg, she was my communications professor. She would not approve of this, but I'm going to read off of this. So, all right. So this we have our beloved Sheikh Uthman ibn Farooq, and he's achieved specialization in fundamentals of Islam from Jami' al-Imam Bukhari in Peshawar, Pakistan, and also a master's in Islamic sciences from Islamabad, Pakistan. He also has an MBA in technology management from National University right here in San Diego. He's achieved many ijazas, which are like credentials, teaching credentials of books and certain topics from many scholars. And he studied under many scholars in many Muslim countries around the world. He's been teaching for many years. He's one of my teachers. I consider him my teacher, and I really appreciate everything he's taught me so far. And he gives lectures all around San Diego and other places as well. Usually most universities through MSAs and stuff like that are most of his lectures. So we do really appreciate that. Finally, he's written two books, right? One on Raf al-Yadayn, which is raising the hands in prayers, and the other one on the imama, which is a turban. So without further ado, Sheikh Uthman.
Hello, how you do? No, I'm just kidding, I don't talk like that. Set to break some stereotypes, getting going. So one thing he forgot is that I'm actually an alumni of Mesa College. I think I've taken your class, but I'm not going to read from a prompt like him. I learned something. So, I went to Mesa College, yes, great time. They didn't have this nice new buildings at the time. I think the cafeteria used to be right there, but not anymore, but it is nice. I wanted to start out first to mention that we begin everything with praising Allah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Because humans, we're all in need of help from our Creator to understand, to live, to do. Otherwise, many people, they make an attempt, they attempt something, but to get it to be accomplished is with the divine help. So we hope that Allah guides all of us to build bridges tonight. We're not here to try to push any views down anybody's throat, but to open up communication. So when we have question answer, I'm going to ask you questions first. So you can ask me all the questions you like and don't feel shy. So when we talk about hijab, nowadays we discuss this as a Muslim issue. Like we talk about it, Islamic women wearing hijab or Muslim women wearing hijab in the Islamic religion. But I wanted to point out to begin with that it's not just a Muslim issue. Hijab is found in every one of the major religions. If you look at the pictures I have here, you will find people representing different faiths. And it may even be difficult for you to know who represents what faith, and that's why we're going to begin with a game. Isn't that cool? I wish all your classes started like that, right? And there are prizes. And if you get it wrong, I won't even take points away. I'm an easy teacher. So we're going to guess people's religions. All right? This is my turn to ask you questions. Everybody awake? No sleeping in my class, all right? So, everybody awake? You good? All right, just making sure. So I'm going to ask you to guess the religion of the lady that's on your right. And if you get this wrong, I'm going to be pretty disappointed in not you two, because you're my kids and you've seen this before. Wouldn't be fair. Anybody with a guess of the religion of the lady in the white? Oh, come on.
Catholic.
Yeah, raise your hand. What kind of a professor? No. Here, take the prize.
I was going to say Catholic.
You were going to say it, but she said it first. And she's a professor, so. That is correct. That is Mother Teresa. She is Catholic. Oh man. I gave away the answer. All right. Since I gave away the answer, that's going to be pretty easy. The lady in the middle. I clicked on it. Go ahead.
Is she Methodist?
She is Methodist, and you knew that. You said, you know that. You get your prize. That's Laura Bush. Remember Bush? Yeah, I know Trump has kind of trumped everything nowadays, but yeah, we miss her now. The last couple of ladies. Any guesses of their religion?
Muslim?
Man, you're good. It gets harder, trust me, all right? They are Muslim. All right, now let's start with the lady on your right as well. Told you it gets harder. Guess I was going to give you away everything? Come on. That was like a pop quiz. Now we're getting to the midterm. Didn't even get to the final yet. So. All right. Anybody? Go ahead.
Muslim?
No. She's actually Jewish. And just so you know, I cite my sources. Yes, I've written thesis. So that is the Jewish Daily Forward newspaper, 2008, and that is a part of one of the I guess you could say, subdivisions of the Jewish faith that does cover including the face. All right, the lady in the middle. And just because you got it wrong doesn't mean you shouldn't try. All right, you can keep trying. Anyway. Oh, come on. This is the midterm. We didn't even get to the final yet. Go ahead, guess. I told you I won't take anything away for guessing. Seriously? Come on. I'm just kidding. She's also Jewish. Yeah, I gotta make sure you guys stay on your feet, man. All right, the last lady in the blue. Osama.
Jewish?
Muslim. Oh, man. Oh, sorry. So just because you get something right once doesn't mean you keep hitting it, right? You know, when I was in college, they said just go with C. It doesn't work. Trust me, I tried it. Anyway, so no, that lady was Muslim. And this is an educational opportunity for us to understand that hijab is not just a Muslim thing. Because as Muslims, we believe that all the religions, the major religions like Judaism, Islam, Christianity, these were all from the same source. And the same God, same Allah, the same Creator, He sent down the revelations to Moses, to Jesus, and to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. And that's why there are many things that are still together in these faiths. Now, whether somebody practices it or not, that's a different issue. But even if you look in the Catholic tradition, you will find nuns that used to wear the hijab. And in many other religions that may not even be from these divinely inspired religions, but they also have it. So, starting again on the right. I got prizes that want to get given away. Osama, try it again. You raise your hand. Oh, you want the middle, all right. She is Amish. Yusuf, take the prize. Good job. That is the Amish faith. And you will find in many of the Christian faiths, and also in the Catholic faiths, you will find the concept of hijab. The lady in the middle that Osama wanted to get. Yes. Not. She is Sikh. And yes, that's a different religion. She is Sikh, and I've given her introduction as well, so you can look her up. The covering of the head and that form of hijab is found in the Sikh traditions as well. Also the loose and modest dress for women. The last lady in the blue. Osama. Good job, you finally got one. I got it. Okay, you can play baseball too. There you go. That's a Hindu lady, and she also has the hijab. So when we look at the hijab, you find it in the earlier books, as I mentioned. In the Bible, you will find it in the Jewish traditions. You will find it even in many other religions, as we've already gone through. But the attitude is somewhat different. So I will quote from you from the Bible itself. And I've given the references, and whoever wants a copy of the PowerPoint, you can have it. It's not copyrighted or anything. So you'll find in the Bible that, but if a woman dishonors her head, if she prays or prophesies without a covering on her head, for this is the same as shaving her head. Yes, if she refuses to wear a head covering, she should cut off all her hair. So, according to the Bible, and I'm not a biblical expert, I'm giving you the reference, you can look it up. If a woman doesn't cover her head, during the time that she's supposed to, she should have her head all shaved off. But since this is shameful for a woman to have her hair cut or shaved or her head shaved, she should wear a covering. This is the New Living Translation, Corinthians 11, paragraph 5, line 6. So, you do find in the Bible the order for women to cover their head, especially while praying or prophesying. Whether Christian women follow that tradition today or not, it is up to them. I'm not here to judge or discuss that. But the concept of hijab, of loose clothing, of covering, of modesty, is definitely there in the Bible. Even though the point here is very different, and we'll discuss that then in Islam. But if you look at the earlier paintings of Mary or early Christian women, or even after that, like I said, if you look at Catholic nuns, you would always find them wearing loose clothing and a covering. If we look in Judaism, Rabbi Meir Schindler writes in the Halacha, which is the Jewish law, married women should cover their hair, and he's written a book, excellent book, you can get it online. It's called The Obligation of Married Women to Cover Their Hair, and he discusses the rules in Judaism according to him. And again, I'm not an expert in Judaism, I'm just quoting what certain scholars of the Jewish faith have put forward, and many of the Jewish traditions do follow, which is that they should wear a pullover blouse, a collar should be higher than that crew of the neck, and not only that, but it has to be a button skirt. They cannot wear pants. The skirts have to cover the ankles and all around, the legs, the sleeves have to cover the wrists. The hair must be completely covered, not a single hair may be visible, as you can see. And all the clothes must be neutral colored. A woman must dress in the laws that are laid out here, even when she's home alone or privately with her husband, or while asleep. Now this is very different from the Islamic faith, because in Islamic faith, the concept of hijab is only when you're outside where people could look at you with indecent thoughts or ideas or means of harm. When you're at home with your family, with your husband, your children, your brothers, you don't have to wear the hijab. You can wear any kind of home clothing that you like to wear. So this is very different, but according to the Jewish faith and according to the rabbi here, that a woman has to dress with that head covering, with that loose clothing, no pants, even when at home alone with her husband. When we find the hijab in the Quran, in the Islamic sense, we want to go back to the Quran itself. Many people, they have this idea of, oh, women are oppressed by wearing hijab, but that's not the point of hijab in the Quran. And I'm giving you the references. So you can go back and get a Quran. If you don't have one, we'll give you one, or you can Google it. It's the Quran 33, this is the chapter, and 59 is the verse. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here orders that it is better for the woman to cover. And why? Not just for the women, but the wives of the prophets, their daughters, and the women of the believers, I mean those that are Muslims, so that they be known as honorable women, and they not be annoyed, they're not molested, they're not harmed. And this is the point of hijab in Islam, is to honor a woman, not to disgrace or oppress a woman. It is to show that she's an honorable woman. And I want to talk about that. When we go out in society nowadays, and you see somebody, what is the first thing you judge them on? Let's be honest. This is a college class, right? What? Appearance, right? That's the first thing you judge on. And most men, and whether you want to admit to it or not, it's up to you guys fellas, but most men will judge a woman on her body, on the shape of her body, on her makeup, and that's why all this marketing goes into trying to get women to fit a certain style of look, a certain body shape, even though we're all different. And why does a person have to be judged on the curves of their body? Why not on the intellect that they bring forward? So when you see a Muslim woman covered, when you see a Muslim woman where you can't tell what size, whether they're 36C or B or D, when you are forced to now listen to what she's saying and respect her for her mind, for her thoughts, for her intelligence, this is the honor that the hijab brings to women. When we look at the next verse that I have here, Quran chapter 24, verse 31, here it also tells you that this is something that they do except with their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their husbands' sons, their brothers. And what's it telling you? That hijab is something for the outside. When you're at home with people who respect you, who will honor you, who are not there to be judgmental of you, your own family, those who will not mean you harm, then you don't have to wear the hijab. But when you go out and there are people that you don't know, there are creeps, there are molesters, there are rapists, there's all kinds of people out there in the world. And I'm not saying that it's a woman's fault, but we live in a world. I mean, if I was to ask you, let's ask somebody. Gentleman in the blue Is that a sweater? I guess we'll call it a sweater, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you. So, you have money?
On me,
No? Damn, you're a broke student. All right. Let's say you had money on, right? Let's say you had $1,000 in your 10,000. Are we ballering? Let's go 10,000. All right. He's a baller, right? He's got a fat car. He's got $10,000 in your pocket. Would you just leave it outside?
No.
Why not? Why do you want to oppress that money by covering it up in your wallet and stuffing it in your pocket? Why not just leave it out?
So it doesn't get taken.
But it's not the money's fault. Why should somebody steal the money? It's the thief's fault. So why are you punishing the money? You're an oppressor. You're a fundamentalist. That money needs to be liberated from your pocket into mine. So, yes.
Is it like, can we comment and stuff, or is it like?
Well, I was going to say the question on for the end, but if you want to.
No,
All right. All right. So here the point is, we live in a certain type of a world where things are the way they are. And you have to learn to live in that world. In a perfect world, I should be able to drop 10,000 outside, and because everybody's honest and everybody's good, nobody would touch it. And I would go and get from it whenever I wanted. Why? Because it's wrong to steal. So that thief should not steal. But I tell you, you leave 10,000 out, man, you've got professors that will be picking it up. They don't get paid that well. So, this is the world we live in. So in a world where people are attacked because of their looks, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a power issue. I realize that. But at the same time, you have to realize in human psychology, where does a thought begin? From a look, from a glance. What tempts a person? When you go to have you ever seen a bullfight? Not that I support bullfighting, right? But, a bull doesn't just attack anybody. When you wave that, it doesn't have to be red, by the way, you're colorblind. When you wave that cloth, and you entice it, you upset it, then that bull attacks. And that's the thing you have to look at. When you want to live in a clean society, you have to prevent, not just cure. And that's what hijab is about. It's prevention. It is to prevent honor. It is to prevent people's attacks. It is to prevent people's lusts. Because once it happens, it's very difficult to fix it. Then you're trying to punish people instead of prevention. Now, I do want to point out, as I said, all the earlier faiths, they do have the concept of hijab, but there are differences. And I want to point out some of the differences. When we look in the Bible, in the later verses, you find that for this reason, that the angels are watching. A woman should wear a covering on her head to show she is under authority. So in the Bible, the covering on the head is to show authority. And in Islam, that's not true. In Islam, a hijab has nothing to do with your husband or your father. It has to do between you and your creator, your God. Right? So it's not like you start wearing the hijab once you get married, or your father can force you. No, a woman wears the hijab because she wants to. And we have sisters here wearing hijab, you can ask them. We're in the US, anybody put a gun to your head? Sister in the back? No? You sure? If they did, this is the time, run now. We'll call it campus security. So, the sister here, anybody force you? Your dad? Your brother? Some guy? Just showed up in the parking lot, put a gun? No? Alright, just making sure. So, why do these women in America, in a place where they have no force, why do they wear the hijab? And that tells you that it has to do with their relationship with their creator, their being good practicing Muslim women. It doesn't have to do with their husbands or their brothers or their fathers. And that's why in Islam, the concept is not to show authority, but rather to show that they're honorable women. They are women who have taken that step to be closer to their creator, to be known as those pious and pure people. As I said, in the Jewish faith, we find that the laws of hijab are also applicable at home. I've quoted the book, but in Islam they're not. In Islam, you can wear anything you like underneath your hijab, or you can wear anything you like at home, as long as it's decent as far as the house living goes. But it has nothing to do with daily living. When you're with your husband alone or with your kids, you can dress whatever way you like. But when you're outside in places where there are people who may harm you, that's where you have to be careful. Now, when we talk about hijab, we want to talk about it with the right to choose hijab. Because in Islam, if you do something out of force, like if I put a gun to the brother there, Abdurrahim's head, and I tell him pray. Now, he may pray because he fears the gun, but that's not a prayer. Because the Prophet, peace be upon him, told us, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Every deed is based upon the intention. So if somebody wears a hijab just because their dad's forcing them, just because their husband's telling them, or for society, like you see some people in other countries, they wear hijab. When they come to the US, the airplane is the place to take it off. Then they weren't wearing hijab correctly to begin with. Because when you do it, it's your choice. And that's why we say nobody should be forced at gunpoint or by fathers. Rather, people should have that choice. And people talk about this. Like people talk about women being oppressed, being made to wear hijab. Even though that's probably not reality, but people do. I mean, Fox Media, they go with it, right? But nobody talks about the right of those women who are fighting to wear hijab, and governments are not allowing them to wear hijab. You know, look at France. In a country that's supposed to be liberal, supposed to be very modern, progressive, you are banning women from an education if they want to choose to wear hijab. You're banning them from coming into government offices. If she wants to wear niqab, she can't even walk on the street with it. Why? It's her choice. If somebody's walking around in a G-string and you don't mind, and in France it's a lot worse than that, why is it that somebody can't wear a loose clothing and walk around? It's their right. If you want to talk about religious freedoms, why is it that when it comes to Muslims, the same standards don't apply? And you as a society are going to have to make a decision. What are you going to do? This is the time. You ever think about like people in the time of Hitler? How come they didn't stand up to Hitler when he was committing those horrible crimes? You ever think about it? No? Not really? You did? I told you, no sleeping in my class. Alright? So, you ever think about it, Mukaro? Did? Alright, good. So, you wonder what happened to those voices of reason when some egomaniac takes over power in some strange way. And wants to bring some xenophobic, anti-immigrant, racist. So, what happens? You have those people that are the sheep, they just go with it, and they're guilty. You never think about the civil rights movement and those people that stood against racism, even they weren't African Americans, but they stood with Malcolm X or Martin Luther King for the rights of African Americans. And you always wonder, if I was in that time, would I be from those people? Well, this is the time. I mean, right now, we have elected officials who are talking about banning people because of their religion, or banning places of worship, or the idea of banning somebody from practicing their religion. So this is the time for people who are good people who have good values to say no. If we talk about religious freedoms, it's got to be for every religion, not just one religion or two religions. And a woman should have that right, and that right is being taken away, not just in France, but in many countries. And there are politicians that will probably be getting posts in governments past January that are going to try to bring the same agenda. So we have to say no. The Quran tells us there's no compulsion in religion. The hijab is a choice. But now, why would somebody choose to wear the hijab? That's the question. Why would somebody choose that? And I encourage everybody here to speak to some of the Muslim sisters here. They can tell you better than me because they chose it. But from an academic perspective, I want to give you an idea. Now this is a computer chip, and it seems kind of old because nowadays they're getting smaller and smaller. But if I was to give you one of these, and unless you're some kind of IT nerd, how would you know how to use it? Google it? Nah. You would want to see who created this chip, and they must have some kind of instructions. You would look up a manual, something that the creator of that chip put together and told you, hey, plug it here, use it this way, this kind of switch, this kind of a motherboard. Because that creator, whoever manufactured that motherboard, knows best how to use it. But I say to you, is that chip more complicated than the human? You know how many trillions of cells you have in your body? According to my science teacher when I was here, 100 trillion with a T. 100 trillion cells, and each one having a nucleus, each one running like an independent country with its own defenses, with its own regeneration, expiration time. It's an amazing thing. And you have 100 trillion of them. Imagine those same cells that become your skin are the same cells that become your heart, that become your ears. How do they know? So there is a creator, there is a designer. And if you don't believe that there is no creator, then I want to ask a question. Any atheists? Not gonna harm you, don't worry. No? No? Alright. Agnostics? Agnostics? Alright. So, now, if somebody was to say there is no God, but agnostics do believe there's a God, so I would ask them this question, that if I told you that this room wasn't built by anybody, like seriously, I'm asking you this question, that these chairs, this projector, or this screen, that projector, this table, these computers, that camera, those lights, everything here came about by itself. Over trillions of years, it evolved. It was first just sand, and then it just became chairs, and then it just became a projector, and it wrote Epson on itself, and those lights came out of nowhere, and those San Diego Mesa College sign, it just came by itself, nobody made it. Over trillions of years, first it was a donkey, then it became a room, alright? Stay with me, alright? Would you believe me? Anybody would believe me? I got a break to sell if you would believe me. Would anybody believe me? No. Well, you tell me, is the human body with the heart, with the liver, with the kidney, with the functions that they serve, with your eye, with your eyelids, with your brain, with your ear, with your nose, is that more complicated to develop or this room? That's the question. The human body. Then how can you tell me it came out of nowhere? It just became itself. First there were fish, and then they became monkeys, and then they became people, and then suddenly, I don't know what we're going to become next. You know? So, blobs, because we don't exercise, I don't know. So, this is something that you have to think about. That there is a creator, and if there's a creator, there's got to be a manual. Just like the computer chip has a manual, we believe as Muslims that the humans have manuals. There were 4 that we know of. Right? Other than scriptures, 4 actual books. We believe all of them came from that same creator. The Torah, which is called the Old Testament, given to Moses. The Zabur, the Psalms of David, given to David. The Injil, which is called the Bible, given to the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon all of them. And the final Testament, which is the Quran, given to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And if your creator gives you a manual, then he knows best how to use it. And that's why if you look at all the religions, they all tell you, don't worship idols. Ever heard of the 10 Commandments? You have? Or you haven't? You have? You good? No sleeping, right? In the back? You good? You're taking notes? That's good, yeah. So, ever heard of the 10 Commandments? You have? What's the first commandment? All the Sunday church and all that, you forgot already. Don't worship graven idols. Don't worship idols. That's the first commandment. And what do you see when you walk into most churches now? Huge statues, idols, crosses, saints, depending if you're Catholic or Protestant, but you see those idols. I mean, I've been through Mexico, I've been in South America, and they got idols of people they don't even know who it is. This is a saint. Who is it? I forgot, man. You know. But he was a really holy guy. Like I believe he was, I guess. So this is the thing. All those religions had that same idea, because they were all from the same creator. Now, we as Muslims believe that some of those texts have been tampered. And I mean, this is more a fact than a theory, because, you know, we can challenge anybody to find us a Bible today. They can carbon date to the time of Jesus. Ever seen an Aramaic Bible? I haven't even seen one. You look at Bible, it says King James Version. Well, who's King James? And why did he make his own version? You can Google King James, you know. Probably know about him because you're a professor. You know, he was called the Queen of England. And you can guess why. He was quite friendly with animals, and I don't want to talk about how. And he made your version of the Bible that you read today. You open it up, it says King James Version. Look up who King James was. And who was he, what was he known for? Historically, don't listen to any Muslims on it. Go look up Christian sources and look up his history. And tell me, why did he edit the Bible? Muslims, we have one Quran. And you can Google this. They have found papers for Surah Taha, which is a chapter in the Quran, that are carbon dated to the lifetime of the Prophet. Actually, by scientists, not Muslims. And they tell you that every letter is the same as the Quran that we have, the Surah Taha we have today. We have the original Qur'ans that were compiled during the time of the companion Uthman. In the first generation, we still have those. So if we ever have a disagreement, we can always go back to that. On top of that, we have people that have memorized the whole Qur'an. I got one in the back. Hamza. Sorry. He has memorized the whole Qur'an, cover to cover, back to back. Now imagine, he's sitting here, he's part of your community. Now tell me this. Which Christian has memorized the whole Bible? The Pope? Oh, come on, man. What else do you have to do? Wear red shoes. You're in the little box. Memorize the Bible at least. No. You know, what's that? Jimmy Swaggart, all those people on TV, 700 Club. They're just good at wrapping up hate. Go study your Bible, memorize it. We have little kids, 7 years old, memorize the whole Quran. We have many in San Diego. We have thousands in America and millions across the world. And all Muslims have one Quran. It's not like a Shia Quran and a Sunni Quran and a this Quran. It's one Quran. We don't have like a Catholic Bible, a different amount of chapters, in the Protestant Bible, Book of Mormon. We don't have that. And this is why when the Creator tells you that this is better for you, then as Muslims we believe that is better for us. So that is the first reason to wear hijab. Secondly, it is something that protects you. It protects your honor. It makes people have to pay attention to your intelligence. And that's when we look at anything that we find valuable, we protect it. We honor it. We don't put gold in Fort Knox because we hate gold. It's because it's valuable. Why do you put money in your wallet and protect it, that 10,000 you're walking around with as a baller? It's because you protect that money. It's valuable to you. You don't want it to be molested. You don't want it to be taken. You don't want it to be stolen. So this is not something about oppression. Rather, it has to do with value. Now the next question that comes is it practical? Can you live in a modern society, in a functioning 22nd century society, and wear the hijab? And I would say yes. And we have seen examples of this everywhere. We see many medical professionals that wear hijab. Their hijab doesn't get in the way of them treating you. We find many police officers, law enforcement, not in America, but in other countries, that wear hijab. It doesn't get in the way of them being effective at their jobs. We find politicians, we find speakers, professors who wear the hijab. We find people who are public speakers that their job is to inform people, and they wear hijab.